I love you guys. Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. It's Kevin and I doing the episode 2 of the Vanquish Vanguards podcast. We're covering week 1 of Survivor Vanquish Vanguards. If you missed the pregame or night 1 podcast with Shane, Kristen, and I, you should go check that out as well. But welcome, Kevin, to talking about this season so far.
I obviously love Survivor. I love Vanquish, and I have the way we do it at Vanquish is like you're assigned to a player, like as a mod. So I have 2 players. So I have Brandon, who's on the Wolfskin tribe, and I have Scott, who's on the Berserker tribe. So I have insight into both tribes. So
yes, and I have Rade on the Berserkers, and I have Crystal on the Wolfskins. So
I also. Esther had added me to a bunch of chats on the Berserker tribe. So like,
and Pirate Sarah added me to a bunch of hers.
Yeah.
Like we're both basically even with that.
Yeah, we have like a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I mean, like, soon as night 1's about to start, like everybody is finding out the cast, including us. I mean, what were your thoughts, I guess, on this entire cast coming in here?
Well, I mean, first of all, I thought it was messed up that you and I weren't there because, I mean, if you're talking Vanquish All-Stars.
Yes.
Hi. But I played in season 3 and then I followed 4 and 5. I didn't follow 6 and 7. I played in 8 and I followed 9, 10, 11. So I know who most of these people are.
Right.
I followed season 2 because I'd heard about it from season 1 and I'd watched season 2, like, do I want to play this game? So I watched it and then applied for season 3. So I do know who a lot of these people are. And I talked to Kristen about some of them. So like I was advocating for maybe some pirates to be officially invited. So I was excited to see the cast. Plus I have friends on the cast, right? Like I love Erica. I love Jen. I love Amy. Like lots of people that I'm just excited to see. And like, I don't know. It was fun. I also shout out to his official name is Rade, but I like to call him Radaddy.
Yeah, Radaddy.
And Kenna, I love Kenna.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know at least probably a little more than half as well, just from being in the community since my season and doing the deep dive podcast that I used to do with like your season or season 8 and then season 9. So I mean, like, you know, I'm well aware of these people. I've talked to some of these people, gotten like how they think about the games. So like I was pretty excited going in here and seeing this cast and seeing that every season was represented in some way.
And like having watched them, like we know Phil is a villain.
Yes.
And we know like Brandon's a hero. So like we have like different types of players too. So
yeah, it's really, really interesting. And like we knew going in like that, you know, we theorized, okay, it's people like Pirate Sarah and Phil are gonna align because they know each other are big targets. So like, you know, you can pretty much see that the writing's on the wall for that's gonna happen.
Right.
So, and they did. So
they ended up together and they did.
Yeah. So I mean, we get into this. First off, we have this challenge. They, you know, the cast thought that they were divided into game changers and all-stars as their tribes, and then they find out instead they're gonna have a challenge to determine captains, and so it's Sarah and Marvin that end up winning this challenge. And which is crazy to me because like I definitely thought you know, Marvin was going to be around for a little bit longer than he was, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. So
yeah, I mean, I want to root against Sarah because that's like part of our shtick. But like as a co-host, I was happy to see her like get a win in that first challenge. And like it reminded me that like I remember back in season 8, we had to do some crazy like impossible challenge. I forget what it even was at this point, but it was something with like getting a ping pong ball into a cup. It was something stupid.
Yeah.
And it was impossible. And Sarah got it on her first try. And it was a reminder of like, oh yeah, she's really good at these challenges.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Sarah really is, and like people might be surprised by that, but she knows like
because she's an uncoordinated drunken pirate. Like she's got sea legs. You think she'd be falling down all the time, and yet somehow she's got this great like agility and like aim. Where did this come from?
Right. It's crazy. I mean, she knows all the little loopholes. I mean, she's loophole liaison at Twisted Sisters, so like it makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun to see that. I thought it was cool. At least Marvin got one moment in this season to
and I played a challenge-based game with Marvin, and like Marvin is very good at challenges.
Yes.
So like
yeah.
Not surprised that he won it. I think if people don't know Marvin, like Marvin is sometimes not like if he checks out of a game, if he doesn't want to do it, if he doesn't care about it anymore, then he just kind of doesn't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think people take that as like him not putting in effort ever. And so this was also a good reminder that like, no, when he's checked in, like he's actually like super into these games and super like he's very good at them. It's just that sometimes he's on the other side of the world. So if he's, he's not going to stay up all night to lose a game. So
right. Exactly. And I mean, I've played with Marvin twice. I mean, the first time was in Vanquish season 6. And so like I knew he's always been a strong competitor, and like that a lot of respect for him because of that. And the fact that he comes into these games and he's always willing to try to have an open slate and not play friend Viver or, bring baggage in. So like I really respect that about him. And so it is kind of sad to see him go right away here, as we'll get into right here. But yeah, so I mean they choose their tribes and
a schoolyard pick.
Yes.
So we go from Sarah reminding us how great she is to Sarah being so dumb because she goes, I think we're gonna choose that cave girl.
Sarah.
You get out right now. We all know that you know who Kenna is. The names are on the screen.
Yeah. Sarah.
I will say I don't think that has affected her long term, but like in that moment, I was like, "You dummy!" I don't think that's gonna have like a lasting impact, right? Like it seems like they've all kind of moved on.
Yeah.
But that was a moment when I was like.
Yeah, that was definitely not the best first move to make there, but ended up working out. I actually really liked how the Wolfskins tribe shook out. It put a lot of like the bigger players on the same tribe, like from the past few seasons.
Yes.
And so that makes it super, super interesting.
Yeah, like so on this group, you have, like I said, like villains, Sarah, you've got Jen, you've got Phil, but you've also got like here, like following Brandon, I knew Brandon was like the honest, like heroic type of player.
Yeah.
Watching him, like being his mod and like following him, he's so good at telling people the truth.
Yes.
In a way that doesn't blow up his own game.
Right.
And doesn't like put him in a bad spot. And he says he doesn't really play a lot of these. And I'm like, how do you not play a lot of these and be so good at that? So like you've got him, you've got Crystal, you've got Erica, you've got these like villainous villains. You got Kenna, and like you've got these heroes, and like they're all working together in a way that's really surprising. Like even Erica and Brand were talking about it on a call right from the beginning. They're like, let's just like let these villains have like a little cloud of villain in front of us and we'll just hide behind it. Like in a way that's really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, having Erica and Brandon who played in season 10 together as well, like it's really interesting. And I mean, obviously we have to mention as well that, some of these people also played the Heroes versus Villains mini earlier this year. And so you have Jen and Erica and Sarah that have all know each other from that as well. So it's really interesting to see like not just Vanquish, but Vanquish adjacent games come into play as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over there. And so as we already said, so Phil and Brandon and Sarah seem to be like a 3 right now. But I mean, Brandon has his like fingers in like a bunch of
Brandon has his
pots.
fingers in a lot of pots, and like I said, he's so good at talking to people,
Mhm.
and like I feel like when that blows up, it won't blow up on him. Like
Yeah.
they're not going to be mad at him when that happens. They're going to be mad at the other people in those groups.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, spoiler alert for the first podcast, but I picked Brandon as my winner pick. So because I really see how good he is at this game, and the fact that the first time he literally lost because of his loved one and because of Brandon H playing an idol at the last possible moment, like that just has to show how good of a player Brandon is, that it took all of that to get him out of the game the first time.
Yeah.
So no, but I'm interested to see how this shakes out. I think this tribe also, like, it has those loud players, like you said, and it has like the quieter, more heroic players. So like Crystal and Steve are a little more quiet. But like you need a good mix of that. You don't just want to have a bunch of loud players. You want people that are gonna be like not out there as much. So
yes. So you've got like that tribe, which is like they also have an alliance of 7 on that tribe.
yes, the AARP.
The AARP, which is so funny. And they're like, I feel like that tribe is much more organized.
Yes.
Right. Like you've got like easily categorical characters, right? Like you've got kind of, maybe the players don't realize it yet, but some clearly defined groups. And then you've got the berserkers who
are chaos incarnate. Yes. So with the berserkers, I think we have to mention that there are 3 season 9 people on this tribe, which is insane that the 3 season 9 people all ended up together with Rade, Ben, and Amy.
Yes.
So I like all 3 of them. I think all 3 are fantastic players and absolutely like
Rade, when he played season 9, it was his 3rd org, and it was the first time he lost.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
I remember.
He's very good.
Yeah, he's very good at communicating with people, and like again, the fact like Rade helped cause Ben. Well, no, Ben caused Rade to lose. Rade caused Amy to lose. Like they all kind of screwed each other over in season 9, and so it's just funny that they're all coming together, knowing that they could potentially have a target on their backs from everybody else, but they're somehow like they're able to keep together and not have a target on their back, which is amazing.
Right. Yeah, and there are good players. This tribe just has so many hot messes on it.
Yes. Yeah.
That like I think it also prevents people from like recognizing that Amy, Rade, and Ben are like from the same season and know each other. And like I don't think any of them would play Friend Viver, but that like it is an all-star season. Like you have previous connections. Like that is part of the season. But like you've got Esther's a disaster. I love her so much. She's a disaster. Scott's my person. Scott's a disaster. Like complete mess. So like I think you have enough of these like hot messes to kind of also hide the Amy's, the Rades, the Bens. Like
yeah.
It's kind of chaos and it's fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And then you have a couple people that are trying to fit themselves in with the season 9 people, like Wesley, who you also got to play with in season 8. So, and Wesley's one where he's a very smart guy. Like, I think he very clearly thinks about this game in a very strategic and calculated way.
Yeah, he definitely wants to be like, he will figure out where the numbers are and he'll want to be included in those numbers. Like he's going to make sure he's not left out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's not going to be the one who's not an AARP.
Right. So we get to the first challenge, which everybody thought was going to be the scavenger hunt for this first immunity challenge. Turns out to be the last challenge usually in most Vanquish seasons, which is the no thumbs. And so it turns out one from each tribe is going to win immunity, and both tribes are going to go to tribal council. So it ends up being Brandon, and who was the other immunity winner?
Who was the one?
Esther. It was Esther and Brandon.
It was Esther.
Yeah, Esther and Brandon win the no thumbs challenge, so they're both safe at this first tribal council. And so then you get scrambling from both tribes. And I think like
both tribes end up doing the same thing in like the craziest way.
Yes.
Like both tribes end up with like a pair who know they're like at the bottom, and everyone else is agreeing like it's got to be one of those two. And both pairs like refuse to like
break.
Like, they won't break. It's like, have you ever been one of these games and you realize like it's you and your bestie, but like one of you's gonna go, so like, hey, it's okay, like vote for me.
Yeah.
Neither side does that, to the point that both of those pairs go into their tribal councils thinking that they have a chance when they had zero.
Right.
Like even on Wolfskin, like Brandon was telling Garrett and telling Nate, hey guys, I've tried. They're real worried about you too. Like goes to Garrett, like Garrett, like you really got to vote for Nate. Like otherwise, like they're gonna vote for you next. Like you have to do it. And Garrett's like, no man, it's bad for you if you vote for Nate. And Brandon's like,
it isn't.
No, no, he's like, and then they keep coming. They're coming back to Brandon like every few minutes, like, okay, we have the votes. And he's like, well, who? Because like if you have the numbers, like sure, I'll go with you. And like, well, we just have it. Like,
you gotta tell people which numbers you have. Like this is just.
And so I don't know, because I'm not in their other chats. I don't know who else they were talking to that made, like, I don't know if anyone even gave them that impression, but like,
yeah,
it was almost comical watching them be like, yeah, we have the votes, we're gonna do it. And it was so like watching from the outside, just like, how do you guys not see the writing on the wall? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I was very shocked by that. You know, that, and I'll say this for Berserkers too. I was a little shocked Marvin didn't, end up going with the plan when that was obvious as well. And especially as we said, Marvin usually goes in with a clean slate, and it seemed here he changed that strategy to something that
he's normally like not a friend Viper sort of player at all.
Yeah,
and like he just liked Madison and didn't want to split up from Madison. I will say before we completely switch over to Berserker, great play by Brandon to save Erica, because we know Sarah wanted Erica out bad.
Yeah, she did, and I don't know that it was.
And I think she's gotten over that. I think.
Yeah, I believe now. I don't really agree with the reasoning behind why Sarah was going after Erica, because of the heroes versus villains stuff that happened. And
right, I think that's all squashed. I don't think Sarah's like that anymore. But like that was like Sarah's coming in, and like Sarah had said, like she had her army built, she was taking Erica out, and Brandon just like quickly was like got it off of Erica.
Yeah. Well, and credit to Erica as well, that Erica is able to like make the connections with the people she needs to save herself.
Yes, that she also did that work to like, and I don't think she's on the bottom. Like she's in a couple of group chats now that outside of the AARP group chat, that like I think that between her and Brandon, they like put in the work to like, she's no longer at the bottom. I don't think
so either. I think she's pretty solid now. It's going to be interesting moving forward, because I think Erica does know obviously that her name was out there from a couple of people, and so it'll be
also like, it was interesting to watch her, because watching her when she played her season, like she was always like a power player. And then when I played with her, when I played the mini with her, like she was she was always going to make it to, she made it to the top 5 and she didn't even get voted out of top 5. Like she was always going to make it that far.
Right.
So to see her like in trouble from the beginning was also super interesting. And like, she didn't panic about it.
Right.
So good for her.
Yeah. She's very calm. She handles everything very, very calmly. So,
yeah.
So yeah, the votes come through. And so Nate is voted out of the Wolfskins, which, Nate is somebody that I definitely heard, how good he was in his original season. So it's definitely a little bit shocking that he just so quickly ended up on the outs. But I know like his reputation of playing or winning a Big Brother Vanquish like kind of preceded him there.
Yeah.
So that was going around, and so he just couldn't really shake that target off of him. And quite often in these all-star seasons, if you end up having like that kind of target on you immediately, it's very hard to get off you, and it's probably going to be a big player that goes home first. So yeah, well, so he didn't go out, but and then the other tribe voted out Madison.
Same thing. Madison and Marvin I think they too thought that like they had numbers to get someone else out. Like,
yeah, well, they thought they were getting Scott out, which they didn't have the numbers to do at that vote.
And like I don't know how they thought. Like, I don't know who was telling them that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, like I'm in Scott's chat, so like no one else is going to be like Scott isn't going to agree to vote for Scott. So I don't know who else was like telling them, yes, sure. But like,
yeah,
that was also fun because so Marvin had tried to send Scott a message and it went into his like spam folder or something.
Yes.
Scott never found it, like never got it. And so then Marvin was like, oh, then I'm going after Scott because he's not active.
Yeah. But
which then led to a big fight, and that was amazing.
Yeah, well, so
people did not get to see at the tribal council, but that they were fighting in the main chat.
Yes. I just want to say, like, for as much as you guys saw like a basic vote, it was anything but in the chats. So please believe us that there is a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys are not seeing. So yeah, but I mean, Madison, like, I mean, we're going to talk about her more in a bit, but like, I mean, just initially here, I mean, all of us have lives and stuff. So like, I don't, hold it against anyone to have a life and to be doing other things besides just playing Survivor Vanquish. But, it's just crazy to me that people don't like when they don't communicate as much, like enough to be like, hey, I'm busy doing this or something like that. And some people just do that.
I've watched like the part of me that like wants to make jokes, wants to like tease Madison, but like I'm not friends with Madison, so I don't want to do that and like upset her because like I'm not friends with her. I've watched her a couple times, and this is kind of like how she plays. She plays very like stand back. And I think sometimes that works really well because you stand back and you let other people fight it out and you make yourself available to people to like vote with them, but like you stand back and let them fight it out. And then when all that dust settles, you're still standing and you're still there. And now there's fewer numbers and now people need you. And like, you can kind of just keep doing that. And that is a strategy that does work and does get people far. I just don't think that was working with this tribe.
No. So then they find out that it's an Australian Survivor twist where the people voted out will just switch to the other tribes. So I love this twist. I think it's good for like an all-star season. Everybody wants to see like all these big names back. And so like at least holding off like people getting voted out for one round, I think is pretty interesting and pretty good for this in this case. So I'm glad that they got like, I guess, a second chance. Unfortunately, Madison didn't do as much with it. But
I think Madison's like typical strategy of kind of stand back doesn't work well in an all-star season because all-star seasons are typically like
fast paced, go.
Like I've played in a few all-star seasons and I've been taken out very early in all-star seasons. Like they're very fast paced and they're very intense and they're very cutthroat. And so it makes sense that strategy doesn't work particularly well in an all-star season. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
No hate. I would love, I want to talk to Madison. I want to become friends with Madison so I can tease Madison about this stuff, because there are plenty of jokes to make, but I don't want to do that without like her okay.
Yeah, of course. So they're gonna swap to the other tribes, and it seemed like Nate probably swapped to a better tribe for him at the beginning because he does have a connection to Wesley. They both played season 4 as well. So he has,
and Wesley hosts BB Vanquish.
Yes, that's the other big.
But also, like, Berserkers are such a mess.
Yeah.
Such a mess. They're so chaotic. So like he can bring that sort of like chaotic frat boy energy. So he fits in with the tribe, but he also is smart enough to like rise above the chaos when it comes to voting. So like, is a particularly good switch for him.
And then Madison ended up with Steve. They both played in season 5 together, so that was interesting. It's just interesting when like even through a swap that we're gonna get seasons get paired back together. So
and she likes Steve. She gave him the extra vote, so like,
which is gonna blow up as we'll discuss. But
that could end up causing a problem later. But
so as you just said, that each Madison and Nate both got an extra vote that they had to give to somebody else. So Madison gave it to Steve, and Nate gave it to,
I don't know who Nate gave his to. I don't remember.
I actually don't remember either.
I can tell you it's not Scott.
I would assume that much, but
I would think, knowing Nate, I mean, maybe Wesley, maybe Amy, like, he's smart. He's going to give it to someone who he knows has kind of power that will like ingratiate that person to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, eventually we'll find that out for ourselves if we don't remember it. But so that happened the first round, and then we get to a very fun immunity challenge, Survivor Classic, the gross food challenge, or eating sardines. And I don't think I could do this, Kevin. I think I'd probably be like some of them and just be like sick to my stomach. So
I would absolutely try it. I would make myself try it, and I would be grossed out the entire time, and I'd probably throw up. I can balance. I can do endurance. I can do physics. You watched me in season 8. I can do the burpees and do the puzzle. I'll do puzzles. I'll do slider puzzles. I'll do riddles. I did well in the name that tune. I will do any challenge and I will do well in it. But you give me this eating challenge, and I am just gonna look at you like, God damn it.
It's just gross.
It's so gross. And watching some of them, Wesley's like face in the can, dripping down his shirt. It's all over his face. He's like, Chuck. So gross.
I would see, like, I would definitely not be that eager to eat through the sardines either. Like, I don't know that I'd take as much time as like Crystal did, for instance, but like,
and Erica was another one.
And Erica
had the time deficit. Erica had a time deficit versus Amy, and Amy's in the military. You know, Amy has choked down some gross military moldy bread food. You know she's done that, and Erica was just like,
Erica destroyed it. It's so crazy. Like,
and I'm just sitting there like, I would vomit. I'd vomit.
Same. I and
they had to lick the oil out. Like, oh, it's so gross.
I did a sardine eating challenge, or I hosted one in one of my live games that I used to do. It was my first ever season in high school, and I had it at the final 4, and there was literally one of my players that were left. They just refused to eat it, and so it's like, I don't blame them. I've seen this challenge firsthand as well, and it's not good.
No, I am a competitor. I would try it. It would gross me out so bad. Oh, it would.
Yeah, and
I don't
Sarah,
want to.
Pirate Sarah, our favorite pirate, she gets very lucky that Marvin didn't show up because she gets a free pass, basically.
She gets a free pass. Like she wins by default.
Yeah.
Do it. Which, listen, I understand people who are like, "Hey, why did you?" I understand your objection, but the rule is the rule, and I would absolutely take that. If I was number 4 and I was Sarah, I would absolutely take that and not feel bad about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand viewer objections. I understand the other tribes' objections. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not. If I don't have to do it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So the Wolfskins do win this challenge, and the Berserkers have to go to tribal. And of course, because he didn't show up and he hasn't been communicating, and he was on the bottom of the last vote, Marvin is unfortunately the first one voted out. And a completely unanimous vote because he got a self vote for not showing up at all. But sad to see Marvin go, especially because he was the only representative for my season. So like my season is out instantly. Yeah, it's
he's like I said, he's the type of person who, when he is committed, he's absolutely committed. It's just that I think he realized once Madison was out and he was on the bottom that like it was going to be a losing battle, you know. So like he just didn't have the like. He didn't care. He didn't like. What am I gonna do? Sit here and like sleep deprive myself?
Yeah.
Just to be voted out anyway. Like,
right.
I understand. It's not how I play, but I understand.
Yeah, I get it. It's just like it's crazy. So in full seasons, at least, because Marvin did make it really far in Fans versus Favorites 1, and like he made jury in my season. But returning my people that return for my season to a full season, they have gone pre-merge so far with Jay, Greg, and Marvin. So like,
sorry Jay, sorry Greg.
It's so sad.
Fine.
I need redemption for season 6 eventually, so hopefully I can be that person.
Who else? Lammy was around for a while.
Yeah, I would assume at some point Lamb might come back. I would love to see Sunshine back from my season.
I know they want Sunshine back. So yeah, there's a few people who like they made it far and they haven't been back yet, so they have a chance.
Hopefully in the future. All right, so yeah, Marvin's gone, and we get to the next immunity challenge, which is doing the planking, your memorial challenge from season 8, and having to bounce the ping pong balls into the cups while you're in planking position. And once again, the Wolfskins do win because Esther unfortunately struggled in this challenge.
Esther, it almost seemed like Esther was like having a panic attack about it. Yeah. And it was like Esther, like, breathe. This is a like at-home survivor game challenge.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. Right? Like tell me something you can see, tell me something you can hear. Like, okay. Because she was in like full panic mode. Like there were times like the other tribe, the Wolfskin tribe also like figured out how to kind of manipulate the rule, right? So like we have the rule that you had to stay in the plank position unless the ball like went far away, and then you had to go get it, right? Because like as I'm making the rules, if the ball rolls under your couch, you can't stay in plank position to go get it from under your couch, right? So like there are situations where you're not going to be able to. So if it's out of your reach and you have to go get it, and then come back into the plank position, get in the plank, and then bounce it, right? But if it's right there in front of you, you have to get it from right in front of you, right? Like, so the Wolfskins kind of also figured out the strategy of like, if I need a break, I'm going to throw the ball away and go get it and give myself a break. And Esther, like, they were explaining that to her, but because she was like having this panic attack, she couldn't process that. So like they would be like explaining, I think one time she had 5 cups and she put her knee down because it was like, Esther, just throw the ball and go get it.
Yeah.
But, like, she was in such a panic about it. And like a panic attack is a real thing. It's not just like being nervous. It is a real like psychological event that is happening. So like she just wasn't able to process that information at that time.
Yeah, unfortunately, but I at least like Esther didn't get like, at least it didn't affect her standing in the game necessarily at the moment.
Yeah, because even though she had done so noticeably poorly, right? Like she was very clearly the only one not done, and like definitely the reason that they lost, right? Like very openly, like there was no like question about it, right? Like if it didn't come down to like a minute 30 versus 2 minutes, like, oh no, who was it? But like she time capped, so like
I
very clear. And so you would think that would make her the obvious next target, but it didn't.
Right. Well, and I'll say, as someone who failed in a challenge in my season and didn't go home that round, I know what it's like, and I feel like the strategy there is, if that happens to you and you have the unfortunate thing of that happening, I think the strategy is to basically just go on an apology tour and just basically, offer. I feel like you have to offer just like, you're still going to be a loyal vote, just keep me around as a vote for you, and don't try to cause any extra drama, to hope that the target shifts to somebody else. So
yeah. And like I was kind of predicting, and I think I was like, Amy didn't want Scott or Esther to go. Amy is perfectly happy to let those Chaos Queens stick around.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think Amy knows she can kind of rile Scott up, and Scott will like have an argument. And like, I mean, Amy doesn't disagree with anything Scott's saying, but Amy doesn't have any heat on her now. So like, I think Amy wanted to keep them around, but then the next most obvious person to go was Megan. And you had people like Ben who did not want Megan to go.
Right. Yep. And that ended up being the factor in her staying, I think, was that just like the couple people like Ben who really wanted her to stay over Scott were the ones that pushed the hardest. And unfortunately there, Scott was voted out unanimously, or as unanimously as it can be in this case, but in an 8-1 vote. But at least Scott got another shot in the game. Unfortunately, it came at the cost of Megan having to pull herself.
Megan had to pull herself. We're not going to share that information. It is her information. She chooses it, but like she had personal reasons, and we fully support her and
absolutely
wish the best for her. So, but like absolute had to pull herself, no question. And Scott got to come back in the game. So like, it'll be really interesting to see when these guys have to vote again and they have to do the strategy again. Like, people did show cards, and Scott coming back in. Scott has been seemingly on this like, I don't give a fuck tour. Like, like it'll be funny. Like, I don't think he's going to survive another tribal council. But it will be funny if he does. If some people are like, you know what? I listened to Ben last time and fuck Ben, right? Like, it would be funny if that happened. And then you have Scott, who's just like, doesn't care because he already got voted out. So he doesn't really care. And then he's just going to be sitting there stunned, like, what just happened? That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing TV. Like,
oh yeah, it absolutely would. I'm interested as well to see if Scott can somehow recover from this and last a bit longer now, with this second chance in this season. But yeah, so with that, then we have the sequence immunity challenge of the survivor winners, and the advantage from the donations was that, like, if you ended up messing up, you'd get to go again, and that ended up making the difference for the Berserkers to win their first immunity challenge and sending the Wolfskins to tribal.
We love it when there's not like just one tribe decimating another tribe.
Yeah,
we like that. So
yeah, it's nice to see the Wolfskins finally go again, see a little more chaos from them, and into their dynamics. So clearly it comes down, obviously Erica's ingratiated herself with enough people that she's going to be safe here.
Even though she's not in that group of 7, right? She is close enough to enough people in the group of 7. She's not an option.
Yeah. And so it came down to Matt.
And smart on Sarah for realizing that that's the case.
Yes.
And not pushing something and like getting over it, right? So like,
yes.
So like she came into the season like wanting to go for Erica based on like her own perceptions of like past events, and like number one took time to talk to Erica, right? It's not like she's like completely cold shouldering Erica. And like Erica was not thinking that Sarah was out to get her either, from what I saw. But also that like Sarah has known that the support to do that isn't there. So like not pushing this thing that wasn't going to work anyway. Like the obvious two on the outside were Garrett and Madison. I'm honestly a little surprised they didn't take out Garrett.
Yeah, I know that there was a lot of talks, like especially Sarah, Phil, and Brandon, of taking the shot at Garrett. And it definitely
and the reason that they voted out Nate was because they wanted to split up Garrett and Nate. They thought the two of them were going to be such a tight pair.
Yes.
And so with Nate not actually being out of the game, I thought Garrett was dead man walking. You know, like I thought that was just his death sentence. I thought worked out great for Nate that he actually ended up being that one being voted out, because now Garrett's still got that same target on him and he's got no one to work with him. So I thought Garrett was done for.
Yeah, I think Garrett obviously stayed because he has a couple people vouching for him. He has Jen and Crystal that are really pushing for him to stay. They want to work with him from past orgs and games. And then, the fact that Madison just didn't communicate was really the deciding factor here. If she had communicated, I actually think they would have taken the shot at Garrett here. Yeah. And it would have been a way more divided tribal council.
Yeah. And well, because Sarah wanted to. And like Brandon will work with anyone. So so if you had, of that 10, if you had 3 votes on Garrett and you only had to get a couple more, right? Like it could have flipped, but I think just that like I said, her game is to stand back and let other people fight it out. But I think this time, just because there's so much happening, like she ended up being just left out of all those conversations. And so it just didn't work.
Yeah. I don't know much about Madison. Obviously.
This is also a classic Sarah play, by the way. To make a huge alliance, make a giant alliance on your tribe, like, and trap them.
Yes, on video calls. It's Boston Rob.
Sarah. Now, this group isn't going to fall for it. Like, number one, this group is all-stars.
Yes.
And number two, they know Sarah. So this is going to work long-term, but for this like first week, this is classic Sarah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, kudos to Sarah for being able to make it past this first week. I mean, herself included, she has been very nervous that she would not even make it past a week. And so, like, with such a target on her back, but she did.
She's in the comments of every post Kristen makes asking to play again. Like, she is one of the most visible Vanquish alumni.
Yeah.
So the immediate target on her is always going to be big. It's like the immediate target on either one of us who are always like loudly in the Vanquish community, like, hey, I have rainbow hair. Like, we attract attention, and attention is a target. And so like I would have expected her to be more of a target right away. I don't think that they might, like, that group might vote out Garrett next. But I don't think that group of 7 is going to vote out Erica. So I think if they have to vote 2 more times, Sarah could be in trouble.
I think Sarah's in trouble. I think Garrett's gonna go next if that tribe goes again, but Sarah's definitely in trouble. And also, I mean, we'll get to our predictions at the shortly here, because I want to like predict a storyline that might come into play here, which I actually hope it does, because it'd be funny. But it's interesting to think about what might happen. As for Madison, like her season was right before my time, so like I didn't know how she played going in.
Like I said, I've watched her a couple of times, and I think that's just kind of her strategy. I think she also, like, I know her job has like when she first started playing was very demanding. And so like she
Mhm.
couldn't even be looking at her phone during the day. So like I think that's not just like her strategy. I think that's just like how she was introduced to orgs. And that's just kind of the game that like was available to her to play. And so
Mhm.
that's the game she's comfortable playing now. You know, like
Yeah.
and like sometimes it does work. Like I've seen her go far and do well. So
Yeah. Well, the other big thing that happens right as she goes out, the final words, the worst nightmare for every Vanquish player is your game potentially getting blown up by the person heading out the door. And he says she gave the extra vote to someone, isn't going to say who. We have Jen then saying, oh, come on, you can spill. And Jen doesn't even have to try that hard. And Madison just spills, oh, Steve, I gave the extra vote to. And just, poor Steve.
so good. So good. It's just like it's like that kid who can't lie at all,
Yeah.
right? And you ask them the question the one time and they tell you they're like no, and then you ask them again and they go okay, yeah. Like it was very much that energy of just like I'm not gonna say come on, say okay, well it was Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. I know from like the the day after, because I mean weekend chats and post tribal chats are still a thing so in this game, and so from what I understand, I don't know that Steve particularly lied well about it from what I hear, but also I mean he might be able to still salvage people on the other side beside like outside of the Sarah, Phil, and Brandon trio.
Right. I think if he, like I said, I think Garrett still goes. I
Yeah.
think depending on the swap that he's in, that might end up being something that they're all thankful that he has.
Yes. Yep.
So it's not the best look right now. I think long term that does kind of mess up his game, but I think short term it's recoverable.
Yes. Yep. Yep. All right. Well, that is, basically everything that has happened in week 1 of
Week one.
Vanquish Vanguards.
Week
Yeah.
one.
It's setting the table for everything, but let's do a couple predictions. And I mean, so Brandon is my winner pick. Who is your winner pick, Kevin?
I don't have a particular like an exact pick. There's too many moving parts, right?
Mhm.
I think most of the women, right? I played a game that Amy won, right? Like Amy's an amazing player. I would love to see Jen win. I love Jen. I would love to see Kenna win. I love Kenna so much. Listen, I don't want Sarah to win, but I think personally, Sarah has like watching her. I think Sarah has proven that she is a much like she seems like when she talks about like something herself, she seems like a mess, but I think she's actually a much better player than she talks about herself, which is also the sign of a good player. So like generally speaking, I like the women, but I do like Brandon. I do like Rede. I think Nate has played this very well. Like he's getting screwed over very well. So there's still a lot of moving pieces. There's still a lot of really good, really strong players. I know Ben is a very good player. I haven't seen it as much yet, but I know that he is. Like I said, Rede has played 3 games and has won 2 of them. So like, there's a lot of really good players left. There's a lot of like really big personalities left, and just some of my favorite. I love Erica. Like when I played the mini with her, like there was no like I was just never going to turn on her. I was never going to vote for her. I was never so like. I see so much potential. Phil, I would love to see the fill-in win. Like,
oh my god, if Phil wins, that's going to be so chaotic and funny.
I would love to see it. Now, I think I don't think Sarah is going to win. I don't think Phil is going to win, right? Like, I don't see, as good as Ben is, I don't see him putting, like, I think other people have already put in more effort than him in a way that I think will benefit them later. So, like, a couple of them I don't think will win, but I think are very good and are very, like, long-term players. So I don't have an exact winner pick. I have a lot of people who I'm watching who I think could do well. And like if I didn't say that, like they still have the potential to win, like not just because they're there or because they're all-stars, but because like the game could go anyway. But those are people who are like standing out to me.
Yeah. Well, as far as like predictions for what is to come in week 2, I think if and when the swap comes, I think if we get a swap with Amy and Sarah on the same tribe, I think to play off the storyline that they've had this org rivalry for like what 3 different games before this, like including the heroes versus villains mini, like, and I feel like that wasn't because in that game, obviously Sarah won, Amy didn't vote for her to win again. Like that's been a whole like thing with their rivalry. But like it didn't end as satisfying because Sarah didn't take out Amy in that game. Amy got screwed over by a twist at the merge and Chattergate. So
Chattergate. It'll be so it depends so much on the swap because
yeah,
I mean, spoiler alert, the swap is happening at 15. So one of them could take the other one. You could end up, maybe Sarah ends up with Steve with the extra vote, right? Like,
yeah,
like, like lots of things could happen too that are like,
it'd be crazy. It's going to be crazy, I think, moving forward. So like people shouldn't need to worry about like how crazy this is gonna get. I think
there's gonna be fireworks.
Once we get to merge, especially, I think the merge is going to be one of the most chaotic seasons of Vanquish that we've ever seen.
Well, like you've got so many like good, strong players, and then you've also got like people like Crystal. Crystal, like we played that traders game with her. Like Crystal sneaked herself to the end all of a sudden. Like you've got these people who are very good at these games. So
yeah,
and they've all got their own individual way of playing the game that like it's fun to watch.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I think this is a season that I was very much looking forward to. After, quite a few seasons of like, when's the next All-Stars going to be, and building up the new era of Vanquish players since Second Chances. So like it's gonna be fun. I think I'm really excited to see this moving forward. And I mean, maybe we'll have you back on, Kevin, or like we'll have other alumni to talk about this as well. So and maybe some of the players will do exit interviews with us. Who knows?
I would love that.
Yeah, I think we couldn't get any this week, but we can definitely work to get some.
Well, this week the ones that went out were Madison and Marvin, who were just kind of like, I don't want to say they were inactive, but they were less active than some of it. So like not surprising. And then Megan, who had to go. So
yep.
Understandable this week that like we didn't get it this week, but I think moving forward we could and we should.
Yes. Yep. So, and I'm sure some will want to. So, we will see what happens next, and we will all see you next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Bye. Fuck you, Sarah.